Welcome to the October 2023 Logos and Mythos Book Club. I agree with Lucy Maud Montgomery in her book, Anne of Green Gables. I'm thankful to live in a world where there are Octobers. We usually have the best weather. It's perfect time for camping. It's starting to get just a little bit cool where I am every now and then, at least. And that makes for perfect reading weather. So I hope wherever you are, you're having great weather. I hope that you are enjoying whatever you're reading. If you are looking for something in particular to read, if you're between books and you want recommendations, be sure to check out my Facebook and Instagram pages. On Mondays, I post the LAM Book Club graphic, and you can comment there, let people know what you're reading, what you're enjoying, and ask for recommendations. It's a perfect place to get to know other readers. So this month, I decided to do something a little bit different. I have a couple of things I wanted to share with you guys, talk a little bit about my reading, not a whole lot, just a little bit. And then I have two things I'm excited to share with you that are going to be packed with tips. So hold on to your seats. It's going to be fun. And first off, I just have to share some exciting news. Today, I sent one good thing off to my formatter and cover designer, so I am completely done with that book. It's going to get prettied up and made into the book that will be sitting on your bookshelf soon, I hope. And the launch date for that book will be March 20th, 2024. So that is the final book in Carolina's Legacy Collection. So as you can imagine, I've got all sorts of emotions. I can't believe that this is the end of this collection, but that just means it's the beginning of so many other projects that I've set aside the past few years. And I'm pretty excited to finally have all four of these books out in the world together. That's huge. So if you have read the other books, thank you so much. And I hope that if you haven't read them yet, I hope you will take the time to read the other books before One Good Thing launches in March. And one other thing that I will be revealing for my newsletter subscribers first, this Thursday, I will be sharing the book description for One Good Thing. It's finally final. That always takes me the longest. And I had some great feedback from followers on social media. Thanks to them and to my husband, I was able to really fine-tune it and get it the way that it needed to be to go on the back cover. So if you are already a newsletter subscriber, you'll get that on Thursday. If you're not, please subscribe to my newsletter. I send it out each Thursday and share all sorts of things first with my subscribers there. I will put the link for that in the comments below, so you can find that. And I will also share the final book description on social media, most likely on Friday. So you'll get to see it there too. All right, so as far as reading goes, my reading has been very school-focused still. I homeschool my two children, and so this time of year, my reading for fun and pleasure tends to get very small, and I focus on the reading that we do in school, both for things like their history, and this year we're doing chemistry and things like that, but also for our literature. So this year we are reading, we are just finishing up Dante's The Divine Comedy. And so that has been this 9 weeks. Next 9 weeks, we'll have a whole other book and some other smaller readings that we'll be doing. So that's kind of where my focus is when it comes to reading. And now I'm going to share a couple of things that I'm very excited about. Two topics that I'm super thrilled to share with you guys. A few tips that I've learned over the years. The first is going to be for book festivals, and I'll talk more about that in just a minute. And then the second is for holiday book buying, okay? Because we all know that books make the best gifts. So first of all, for book festivals, I have to ask, have you ever been to a book festival? I would love to hear. Please comment, let me know. Where did you go? I've been to several over the years. I've been to the Alabama Book Festival, the Mississippi Book Festival, and the Louisiana Book Festival. And I am thrilled and very honored to be part of this year's 19th Louisiana Book Festival, which meets in Baton Rouge on October 28th. I am excited to be one of the featured authors, and I will be on a panel, which I have to chuckle a little bit at the title for the panel because it's quite fitting if you know me. It is called Good Things Come in Small Packages, short fiction exploring dreams, loss, love, and life. I will be on that panel with a couple of other authors, and the reason I say it's a perfect title is I'm a little bit on the short side, vertically challenged, if you will. So I've always said, good things come in small packages, like me, and here we go. I'm on a panel by that title. I did chuckle when I saw that. So I will also have a signing afterward. So the panel will be from 2:15 to 3 o'clock on October 28th. And my book signing will be in the Cavalier House Books tent afterward from 3:15 to 4. So I hope if you are in the area of Baton Rouge, I hope that you will come, because here's the amazing thing. The Louisiana Book Festival is free. It is a free day packed with all sorts of panels like the one that I'm on, opportunities to meet authors, hear different things about books. They always choose one particular book. This year it's a book by Truman Capote, and it's kind of they call it One Book, One Festival. So they really focus in on that one book, and I think that's kind of special that we all get to share and talk about one particular book. And then, of course, you get to meet so many authors from all over. Many authors from Louisiana and surrounding southern states, which I think is fantastic because you are actually meeting your neighbors who are authors, and that's kind of cool. Sometimes we think about authors being far away. We think about New York City, and we think about California. We think about those kinds of things. But there are writers in every neighborhood around the country, which is kind of interesting to think about. So I hope that you can join us there. And if you have never been to a book festival before, they are fabulous for the whole family. Most of them do have specific things that are geared toward the kids. I remember several years ago, and I don't know if they'll do this year or not, but they had a table set up for the kids at the Louisiana Book Festival where they got to learn how to make paper. And I thought that was the coolest thing. So I remember doing that when I was a kid, and that was one of the opportunities that I had as a kid that just really stuck with me because I just thought it was so cool because, of course, being a writer, I love paper and all of those things. And so I really enjoyed getting to make my own paper. So that's one of the kinds of things that they'll have for kids. And there will be panels that are all kidlit authors and middle grade and young adults and all of that. And then, of course, panels with authors who write for adults as well. Poetry, nonfiction, everything you can imagine. So book festivals are for the whole family. They're for readers. They're for writers. They're for anyone who appreciates the written word. And they're definitely worth your time. Now, if you are a writer, they also offer word shops. And those will be on Friday. Now, those are not free. There is a cost for those, but definitely check that out if you're going to be in the area and you're a writer. Those will be on Friday from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And I believe they have it set up where you can choose if you want to do both sessions or just one of the sessions. So that's kind of handy if you don't have a full day to attend. And also, Friday evening, there will be the author's party. And that also has a cost associated with it. But that is kind of a fundraiser event that they do to help fund this event. It is completely free. Like I told you, all day Saturday is free. And this thing is put on by some incredible volunteers. People give of their time throughout the year to make this happen, which is pretty incredible, I think. And there are people from all over who come to volunteer on that day. So that's another thing. If you're in the area, if you're local and you're into volunteering, they are looking for volunteers to help with escorting authors around, making sure that we get to the right place, and all of that. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely look into that. And I will put the link for the Louisiana Book Festival in the notes here. But you can go, it's very easy to navigate their website. You can find information for volunteers. You can find information for the workshops and the authors party. Those will be under the events tab. The volunteers will be under, I think it's like information or something like that. But it's all pretty easy to find. And of course, you can find a list of all of the authors. And I'll talk more about that in just a second. So I have 5 tips for you if you are going to a book festival. All right, so my first tip is to get a plan in place beforehand. And what I mean by this is it can be a little overwhelming. I remember the first time I went to a book festival, it was the Mississippi Book Festival was the first one I went to with my dear friend May. And I remember being very overwhelmed at how many people were there and thinking about where all of the things were that I wanted to go to and how do I get to these rooms, and it just felt a little overwhelming at first. So having a plan in place really helps with that initial overwhelm. I also recommend looking through, because everything is different times throughout the day, all spread out, and finding your top 5. The top 5 things you would really like to go to. You may have fewer than that, and that would be great, but definitely I would recommend no more than 5. And of course, you don't want to get 2 at the same time. You might have to pick and choose, which is tough. I know, I've been there. But choose the ones that you really want to go to and make that your goal, and make sure that you have looked at because they always put the information about where it is, what time it is, all of that stuff. It'll be in a good location. And when you get there, they usually have a program or something that you can get. So you'll have something in hand as well. And so just have that, and that's your game plan going into it. So that reduces your overwhelm. My second tip, though, is to leave time for spontaneity, or leave time for rest, or maybe both. Both of those, I know a lot of times people who go to book festivals tend to be a little bit more introverted. And a big event like this can be overwhelming in other ways as well. So you may want to consider that and kind of book in some time where you can go around the corner and sit off to yourself for a little bit and just kind of recuperate. It's definitely needed. But you also may stumble upon something super cool like making paper or something like that. My third tip is to research the authors beforehand. So if you've decided which panels you're going to go to, I highly recommend you look on the site. They typically are going to have a page for each of the authors, or they're going to at least have somewhere a little bio and then links to get to know more about them, usually to their website and often to their social media. So my reason for this is, and you may not do this with all of the authors in all of the panels that you go to, but you're going to notice a few that really kind of jump out to you. And so go ahead and get to know a little bit about them before, because you might have opportunities to ask them questions when you're there. So if you've already gotten to know a little bit about them, you may have some ideas in mind of things you'd like to ask. Also, it gives you an opportunity to kind of follow them beforehand. And not all authors are super active on social media, but some really are. And you may find some interesting posts that they put leading up to the event. I know I'll be at the author's party the night before, and I'm sure I'll be posting pictures and things like that. So those would be things that might be interesting to see ahead of time, and just to get to know a little bit of the personality of those authors. So that's my third tip. My fourth tip is to try to save and have a little bit of a budget to buy some books. And this goes along with, you've researched, you know which ones you're going to, you know which authors you're excited to meet. And chances are you're excited to meet those authors because you like the books that they write and you're interested in reading those books if you haven't already read them. So you definitely want to have a little bit of a budget so you can buy at least a few books, because the authors typically have signing times where you can get those books signed and get to meet the author in person. So, all pretty cool stuff. And I remember though, my first one, I really didn't have a budget. I didn't have any money. So I really couldn't buy anything. So if you can't, it's fine. You're going to want to, of course, because we always want to buy books. But there's so many other things, just the opportunities to be there, to take pictures, to experience all of the things, to learn in the panels, to hear about these books. And then you're going to have a wish list that's going to be growing of books that you would like one day, which kind of leads to our next thing about the holiday book buying, right? Almost there. I've got one more tip though for you about book festivals. So my fifth tip is to block off time for the others. All right, so what am I talking about? Well, at most book festivals, they have the featured authors who are on the panels and know who they all are, and they're walking around, they're being led around by the amazing volunteers, and they have lanyards with name tags around their necks, and they look very official, and they're the real authors. Or at least that's how I felt, because my first time at Louisiana Book Festival, I was there as an exhibitor. So as an indie author, it's not very often that we get to represent on panels like this, which is another reason I'm so excited about this year. But that year, I was there just simply as a brand new baby indie author. I had my table set up over on Exhibitors Row, and as I was sitting there watching all of these authors with their lanyards and their troop of people around them walk back and forth, I did feel a little sad. I felt like, oh, they're all the real authors, and I'm just sitting here, and there are very few people coming over here. And we did have some really great people come over. In fact, I met a very dear friend of mine. Her name is Stacey Irick. She is a fellow author and mom, and that is where I got to meet her, which is incredible. So my fifth tip is to be sure to look and save some time to go over to the Exhibitors Row, or I know in Mississippi they call it Author's Alley. They have different names for it, but these are usually smaller publishers or indie publishers who are selling their books, and you're going to find some incredible books, and you're going to meet some amazing people. So block off some time for that, and make sure to save a little bit of your budget, because I guarantee you're going to find something you want. So I'm looking forward to this year going and taking a pass through there and seeing who I meet. All right, so those are my 5 tips for going to book festivals. And now I also have 5 tips for you about holiday book gifting. And this is going to go a little bit quicker. So first of all, in good, cliche fashion, make a list and check it twice. All right, and my second tip goes very closely along with this. Don't wait until the last minute, because you always end up forgetting somebody, right? So start now. I know that we're in October, and trust me, I am one of those people that when I walked into Walmart the other day and I saw all of the Christmas trees all over the place, I got a little grumpy. My thing is, poor Thanksgiving always gets overlooked, and it drives me nuts. So I understand, but at the same time, so that you can enjoy the holiday season when we get closer to Christmas, go ahead and start now and make your list, check it twice, and get some recommendations for people on your list that you're not sure what they might like to read, and don't wait until the last minute. So those are tips 1 and 2. So my third tip for you is to seek out indie authors. And why I say this is a lot of times indies have some really cool gift options. They might have boxes that you can order from them that include not only their book, but some fun little gift items that go along with it. Also, you can order autographed copies from them. And there's just something, I don't know, it's a special touch, I feel like, if you find someone who's either local to you or local to the person you're buying for, and you can say, hey, I got you this book, and this author lives here, and they autographed this for you, and all of these things. And they're going to be at a book festival next month. Why don't we go together? There are those kinds of things where you're starting to make these connections with authors and realize that they're not far and distant; they're actually nearby, and that's something very special. I don't have things available for sale through my website yet. That's something that I've been working on building that platform. But I do sell books that I can send directly from me. So I can either send them to the person that you're gifting it to, or I can send them to you. And I always autograph and ask if you want them made out to someone special. And I have done little boxes and packages in the past. So I'd love to know if you guys have particular things that you'd like to see me offer for holiday gift boxes. Let me know. If you have ordered from other authors who do things like that, I'd love to hear what they sent with their books. Show me some pictures or send me a message, let me know. And if you're interested in any of my books for your holiday list, just let me know. All right, so that was tip number 3. Tip number 4, I challenge you to think about your favorites. Now, this could be your favorite book of all time, or it might be a book that you read this year that just had a huge impact on you. But think about what your favorite books have been, and then think about who on your list might like that particular book. That is something that is also special because you're taking a book that's been an important part of your life and you're gifting that same book to someone and you're telling them, hey, this is a book that meant a lot to me. You can tell them this is why it meant a lot to me. And then you can offer to read it along with them. You could reread it as they're reading it for the first time. And so you get to experience that joy of rereading a great book alongside someone who's experiencing it for the first time. And those are two really cool things. So that's my tip 4 for you. And another thing that you can do with these, I did forget to say, is you may want to just pick up a couple and have them tuck them aside because, there always ends up being something that comes up last minute. And you're like, oh, I need a gift for this. Or maybe it's someone you forgot or something like that. But this would be a really great gift for something like that. All right. And then my 5th tip to close us out is I encourage you to shop local. Okay. Hopefully you have an independent bookstore in your area. They are fantastic. I know so many great ones. But if you don't have one in your area, never fear. You can always order from other bookstores. So maybe you have an independent bookstore an hour or so away. You can't quite get there. You can always call. Some of them have online options that you can order through that way, or you can call and order often. So see what's available in your area. And if none of that is available, or if you just really prefer online shopping, I would like to recommend bookshop.org. And I'm going to put a link for that in the notes as well. The link that I'm going to put down there is my affiliate link. So that means if you use that link, it's not going to cost you any more. But if you happen to make a purchase, I'll get a little percentage, which is great. And I appreciate that. So bookshop.org, why this is such a great website is you can choose your local bookstore. If they're in the platform, you can choose them and they will get a percentage of your sales. And when you receive your books from them, it'll actually say from and the name of the bookstore, which is kind of cool. If you don't have a bookstore that you can name that you want them to get the percentage from, what bookshop.org does is all of the rest of the sales they make, they kind of pool that money. The percentage that they would give to the bookstores, they will pool that, and all of the bookshops that are part of bookshop.org will then get a little bit of that pool of money. So you are supporting local independent bookstores when you order through bookshop.org. There you go. There are my 5 tips for holiday book buying, as well as my 5 tips for book festivals. I hope to see you at the Louisiana Book Festival on October 28th. Have a great month and happy reading.